African American Athlete Facebook Live podcast hosted by Mr. Ricky Hampton. I myself is Robert T. Green, CEO, also known as the Players Rep, here to educate and empower, protect the athlete and family's best interests alone. We're going to try a couple things differently. I want to make this interactive. I want to make it entertaining to you guys, but a lot of things is going on in the sports business. So what I'm going to do this week, and probably once a month, I'm going to do something like a buffet, like a round robin. I'm going to give you guys information pertaining to business and many different sports, some of the things that go on. At the end of the day, if you have questions, I look forward to try to answer those questions as best as I possibly can. And also, for example, first thing I want to say is much appreciation and much respect for Mr. Martin Luther King. I know today is 50-year anniversary of his assassination. Unfortunately, Mr. King was assassinated for doing things that literally benefited others, opposed to himself. And to be that type of man and to do what he did, for me in my personal life and what I do in business is kind of a scenario where I have no choice but to do what's right by those that literally can't protect themselves. So thank you to the King family. Thank you to Dr. Martin Luther King for all his commitment and sacrifices. It is not forgotten. It's not going to go by the wayside. And again, I hopefully doing my part, like I said before, as a African-American male, as a man in the United States of America. I know my days are numbered. Everybody's days are numbered at a certain point. So I'm not going to sit back and wait for a diabetes as a former athlete. I'm not going to wait for CTE. I'm not going to wait for cancer, dementia, any Alzheimer's, you name it, any other ailment to come for me. So I'm going to take my chance and apply my passion and my knowledge to basically educate, empower, and protect those that literally, when I'm gone, they can get better tomorrow too. So thank you again, Dr. King. So really quick, I want to say thank you to Mr. Ricky Hampton and Mr. Michael Robinson, who hosts the African American Athlete Talk Show on Tuesday nights from 10 p.m. Eastern to 11. You can check out their actual replays, and they also podcasts going from AfricanAmericanAthlete.com. As I said, I'm the Players Rep. You can follow me at the Players Rep 1 on Twitter, the Players Rep 1 on Instagram, and the Players Rep on Facebook. Make sure you turn on your notifications, tell a friend, share a friend. I'm going to provide a lot of key information regarding business and sports. Today, I actually had on a real quick. I had it on the actual a polo earlier, but based off some information I received today pertaining to the NCAA and the audacity of putting a statement out, I literally decided to wear black because it's coming to a point where their entire structure may need to come down, not just come down, but just basically be wiped off the face of the earth. We're talking about today the sports dichotomy. What those who know what dichotomy means, it means what was going on and led to one thing to the next before, during, and after. In particular, we're talking about African Americans in this country pertaining to athletics, where back in the 60s and 50s, where you may not have an opportunity to go to college, you might be the first one to ever go to college. It was a big, big, big deal because at the end of the day, you're going out there to give yourself an opportunity that did not happen every day to anybody. But in essence, like you said, today in the world of the billionaires, billion-dollar business known as the NCAA, there's about 85% African American athletes that play sports and drive revenue to, like I said, the actual sponsors, to the actual commissioners, to the universities, to the organizations, to the conferences. Everybody is taking home a dollar, except for the actual athletes, which they put it in their own rules. And once again, who made those rules? The NCAA, without any implementation, any input, or any knowledge or care from the athlete or the families or their advocates' best interest. So that was then, and we now at 2018, and they're still operating under the same type of premise. I know a lot of people talk about the cost of attendance stipend, which really don't understand the cost of attendance stipend pertaining to in-state tuition and out-of-state tuition. So I'll address that really quick. To make it a simple story, if you talk about, if I'm from Georgia and I'm a Georgia kid and I want to go to school in-state, my cost of attendance stipend will be less if I was to go out-of-state to Alabama or to Kentucky because I'm not from there. So at the end of the day, that cost of attendance may come to me, but what people don't understand as well is that parent is actually going to pay taxes on that cost of attendance stipend. Once again, when you talk about full scholarships, people don't really understand what actually goes within a full scholarship. And then because of that, a lot of these things get misconstrued. And at the end of the day, it leaves the kid, the parent, in a situation that they didn't know before they got into. So again, the dichotomy of sports. Kids want to go to college, don't have any other way to get a job, living, in places where there's no food, there's no water. Their mother don't have money to put food on the table. The young man, young woman wants to be able to give them an opportunity to be able to better themselves in their lives one day. So they go and they play at a university, at a school. Now, mind you, again, way back when, there wasn't the facilities, there wasn't the schedule, there wasn't the practice schedule, and all the different things that come along with sports today back then. And at the end of the day, when that athlete played and did what they had to do, they may have had an opportunity to be educated based off of the fact that they didn't have all those extracurricular activities and things that it was basically required to do. Back then, there wasn't basically a line of people signing autographs. There wasn't a media session every other day to show these players doing all type of poses and dancing and doing all type of crazy things that literally don't teach them anything outside of basically help promote that actual university and that uniform that's actually collecting money off of their name, likeness, and jersey. So again, that's something what we're talking about now. I'm going to do the round robin. You see behind me, this is the actual the Instagram page for the Players Rep 1. And essentially, we post a lot of different things on these pages to literally let people know what's going on up to date in sports. So I'm going to go scroll down real quick and it's going behind me. Well, you don't see it going behind me, but I'm looking at it. I'm just going to address a couple things that literally, from a parent and athlete standpoint, you need to know and understand how to protect yourself in this business, because at the end of the day, it's a new age, it's a new type of thing in sports, and we're here to basically put you in a certain situation. So first, the NFL draft. We know that the NFL draft is coming up on April 25th and 28th. A couple months ago, during the process, a guy named Darius Geis, who, again, plays for the LSU as a running back, he was asked a question, is he gay? Now, everybody knows in America that when it comes to workplace environment laws and how you go about your business, that your gender, your race, your age, all questions that are excluded from that actual job, because, again, you are subject to lawsuit and you're subject to basically be penalized. Again, once again, the NFL or any other institution that basically looks at these young men, anything outside of professionals is doing them a disservice. Not only is doing them a disservice, it's doing their brothers, their young kids, and their parents a disservice. We know about stories where they actually asked Des Bryant's mother, was she a prostitute? They also asked another young man the other day, which again has nothing to do with the actual business that they're going to be in, but if I was to punch you, what would you do? You got to understand that, again, these actual kids or these now professionals are being hired to play a sport. And a lot of these questions, whether they're right or wrong and different, the way they evaluate these kids based off these questions, they have absolutely nothing that pertains to what they're actually going to be doing. Once again, it shows you that literally, whether it's their players union or whether it's their agents or whether it's just them themselves, don't realize how to protect their best interests. So once again, like, who works for who? You have 17, 18, 19-year-old, 20-year-old men going into the professional world, and those that they already hired and signed off an agreement to haven't prepared or haven't advocated on their behalf to say, hey, look, I'm here to play football. My time is to clock in, come in, do my job when I play football, and clock out and go home and do what I got to do for my family and to better myself in life. This is not a scenario where you talk about the education in NCAA where you spend the first 3 to 4 years just focusing on academics. Then all of a sudden you're supposed to flip a switch and then you tell a kid who spent the last 3 years on academics, but then now he's all of a sudden going to be a pro athlete and all you want him to do is focus on football. Once again, that's beneficial to who? Coaches possibly. It's definitely not beneficial to the players, because at the end of the day, 2018 athletes can walk and chew bubblegum. I'm a former high school, collegiate, and professional athlete. I have over probably 600 tackles in my career. In arena, we have what they call walls that you can go over with concrete. Sometimes that wasn't there. The fullbacks in the Arena Football League is 290, 300 pounds, nimble feet. Every time you get inside the 5-yard line, you're more than likely the position that I played. There was a toss to that actual running back, and it was either that wide receiver that would crack down, that was running at me, crack down on a linebacker, forcing me at 190 pounds to tackle a guy that's about 300 pounds within 5 yards to stop the touchdown. I like to think at this point right now I still can articulate, I can enunciate, I can use my vocabulary to help you explain and understand what I'm actually trying to talk to you about. So when a lot of people want to put things out talking about athletes aren't prepared or aren't capable of certain things, it's not because they're not capable. It's because the people that were around them that don't want them to know anything, so they continue to use them to make money off of them. So once again, those are the things that happened to that scenario right there. So any questions about the NFL draft pertaining to questions that don't make any sense, like I said again, Darius Geis, in the real world, you ask somebody if they're gay, you will not get the job. So for players and athletes understanding, do not think that's a proper, appropriate question to be asked. No matter different as your mother was a prostitute, has nothing to do with what you have to do for that actual job. And in essence, if that was to happen, you would normally go to your EOC officer to file a complaint regarding that scenario from there. So that's one topic. I'm going to stop and take a little drink for a second and pause. How you doing, Mr. Hampton? I'm gonna get to that actual NCAA story in a second. I'm gonna call that name out directly. Okay, Kirk Cousins, NFL again, fully guaranteed contract. Kirk Cousins, for those who don't know, was drafted a few years back, the same year as RG3, which again, Robert Griffin III, who actually was signed today again for the Baltimore Ravens. A lot of people don't know that, but he was been out of football since 2016. So congratulations to Robert having an opportunity to get back to the National Football League. But his backup was in the 4th round was Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins played for the Redskins. And essentially he took what they call the franchise tag. The franchise tag for a quarterback in the National Football League is basically essentially you get paid up to the top 10 averages of what their actual salaries are. So this is a simple example. If the top 10 quarterbacks got paid $10 million to $20 million and Kirk Cousins got franchise tag, he basically, the percentage of that, to break that in half, would be rich $15 million. So that's what he would get just for that 1 year. And after you play that 1 year, a lot of times you hear the terms of people trying to create long-term extensions or to secure your situation. But the fact of the matter is in sports, football in particular, because they don't have really what you call guaranteed contracts, they can have you sign a 6-year deal for $100 million, give you $25 million that day that you sign that contract, guarantee you get $40 million, and then essentially that other $60 million or whatever it is remaining on that, they can let you go, and then basically you won't get that money. So Kirk Cousins, in essence, he basically did not take the long-term deal. He continued to get the franchise tag for 2 years that he already amassed essentially about $45 million before signing his last contract for 3 years worth $84 million with $90 million possibly guaranteed for the Minnesota Vikings. And that's important because how these things work in business, again, in sports, to let players and families know, your leverage comes when you're young. It don't come when Kirk Cousins turns 35 years old. It comes when he's 26. It comes when he's 29. So, again, we've been advising and talking about this stuff for years, but we have to see for the first time a player actually recognize their worth and actually use that to their advantage to get what they needed to get. Okay. What alternatives do young football players have other than playing in the NCAA and football? At least basketball, baseball, and hockey can go pro. That's a great question. So, again, there's a few leagues that are coming out right now. The XFL don't know how relevant and prevalent that's going to be. They have another league called the AAIF, something like that, or something. And it's also led by or worked with Bill Polian, which is another story. But at the same time, there's a few alternatives. You have the Arena Football League. It doesn't pay a lot of money, but at the same time, when you talk about athletes that play football, the rules are that to be eligible for the NFL draft, you must be out of high school for 3 years. So there's also one young man out of South Carolina, I believe he's a quarterback over there, that literally decided to forego one of his years of high school in order to basically only have to be required to play 2 years of sports in the actual NCAA, or at least go there and have 2 years of eligibility before he can actually decide to leave. And that's important because once again, you talk about football and hits that you take in football, and where, you know, in particular basketball and football, where their rules are completely different from wrestlers, Olympic wrestlers, hockey, and baseball. Essentially, these young men and his families got to start taking this matter into their own hands. But unfortunately, we talk about a sport like football, where it's contact and collision. A lot of guys that tend to want to go out there and play because they're competitors. The NCAA and the powers that be, and they're also their so-called advisors, have basically fed these things into their head as the gladiator mentality that, you know, you can run through a wall at any time. But in essence, you talk about the NFL, how short-lived that career is. If you play, you know, you have to literally play like 15 years and really set yourself up for life. And again, I'm talking about starting from high school to college to get to pro and then get to that second contract. And in essence, once you get going further up, the NFL in particular is looking for injuries, looking for reasons to not continue to pay. Cheap labor. One of the main things that people don't want to talk about, that we talk about all the time, is that the only reason why the NFL and the NBA have not gotten involved with the NCAA as of yet is because the NCAA has tricked and convinced and basically utilized these actual athletes as free and cheap marketing. The bottom line, sports is not a game, it's all business. It's about two things, people. It's about selling tickets and recruiting. If you don't know who these kids are, whether they can play or not, at the end of the day, when they go through that entire funnel in that system, whether it's through the Nikes, Adidas, the Under Armours, no matter what it may be, if you don't know who they are, you're not going to buy their jersey, you're not going to buy their sneaker, you're not going to invest in their autograph. And that's essentially what the NCAA has always done by talking about your exact education. It's not education when you're basically saying to me that I can make more money off of what I do athletically, which my time is running out, versus No, let me make this money for you now. And then as I injure myself further, then I can try to make more money, or I can try to get a job and get that education, which again, if you want to be honest and factual, there's a plethora of people out there in this country that are in their 50s and 60s still going to school. There's a plethora of people out there in this country that have degrees that can't get a job because it's so saturated in that field. So to actually tell an athlete, when you know you're giving them classes that literally don't warrant them getting an associate's degree in certain places, it's because you went to that university and you got a degree that says, now, for example, not to put a kid name out, but I remember seeing a fifth-year senior in a national championship game, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. It said fifth-year senior, his major, general studies, general university studies. Like, what is that? This is his last game. Not sure if he's NBA bound. What is general university studies after 5 years? He's played the most games in the history of University of Michigan basketball, and he's leaving there with a general university's degree. He's doing that because he, as an athlete, is not prepared to advocate for himself. He's doing that because his family don't understand exactly what's going on, because you've never seen a Sports Center or ESPN show where a kid actually is going to sit there and tell you how class went that day. December 3rd, for those of you guys who don't know, mark that date down. December 3rd is the first time the NCAA has to basically defend themselves in court, which they try to get thrown out. You didn't see this on ESPN. You didn't see it on First Things First or First Take or anything else, because once again, this stuff that actually really matters. But pertaining to the NCAA, they tried to get it thrown out, but for the first time, they have to actually explain in court how their model works regarding to how they actually can say that this model they have pertaining to kids in athletics is based on education and not exploitation, and not basically doing extreme harm to them mentally, emotionally, socially, financially, and so forth. But again, as you guys know, get to know me a little bit as a player's rep, that's impossible. What they don't tell, and what no coach has ever had to say publicly on record, is that when you recruit this kid, what exactly goes into that recruitment process, the day that he gets on that actual campus without his parent? What do you do? What happens? They don't talk about the kid being less than 21 but drinking. They don't talk about the kid less than 21, but there are females around there that also now are sleeping with these young men. They don't think the females know these guys are coming on campus. They don't talk about these young men that come out there and all of a sudden they're getting hot. Now, mind you, NCAA is a 501c3 organization. So for those who don't understand, when you get on campus, the recruiter, the player usually that they put in place, has money to take this kid out. What they take this kid out to do is a whole nother story. You've never been on record. But once again, you're talking about coercion and manipulation as an athlete that's underage, to try to basically say, hey, this kid made a decision to commit to this school and like the school because he was drunk, high, or he had sex, and that's the decision why he went there. It wasn't about that free education that everybody want to put out there to the public record. This is what the things that people can't say or won't say or been scared to say. But I'm not, because this is what my job is to do, is protect the athlete and that family's best interest alone. And at the end of the day, the term NCAA does not exist without the actual athlete and the families. But again, back to that dichotomy of sports. Back when you felt like you had to go to this certain school, a certain place to actually have a chance to become a professional athlete. For the NCAA and Mark Emmert to say that no athlete should come to college if he thinks he's going to go pro, but yet everything that you're doing with your marketing, with your licenses, when you're taking kids' IPs, intellectual property, says at the end of the day, if nobody is basically buying jerseys for a kid they think is not going to play on Sundays or Saturdays or any other day of the week. Facts. So who are you kidding? Nobody's doing that. But yet you want to keep pushing that agenda. And the reason why hasn't changed yet, because there's so many people in place that literally make money off the backs of these athletes. Villanova just won a national championship. Michigan won 14 straight games before. Both groups get T-shirts and hats and confetti. Conferences get millions. Coaches get jobs. It's only a matter of weeks for the coach at Loyola, whatever his name, Chicago, is going to take a new job, guaranteed, mark it down. The system is broken. It's been broken. This is not 1960. So about that actual committee from the NCAA that everybody likes to talk about all the time regarding making decisions. So let me mute this really quick. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to say his name. So Monday, NCAA Division I Basketball Committee. I'm sorry, One Shining Moment is really trying to show up. I didn't want to make that happen. Basketball Committee Chairman Bruce Rasmussen provided a glimpse in with some of the changes considered by the Commission on the College Basketball. The Commission on College Basketball is the people that basically haven't played basketball, but at the end of the day, they want to put them in place. They utilize people such as Condoleezza Rice to provide the cover to say, hey, this is what you should do, without even asking the families, without asking the players, without asking the people that actually make everything go a certain way, what should actually happen. Once again, I don't know why this keeps coming up, but it's getting on my nerves right now. I apologize for that. So this committee, wow. All right, they want to play for a second. That's fine. Let me turn it down all the way. There we go. Now we got it. Okay. So his recommendations are going to be forwarded to the NCAA on April 25th. And his recommendation is that the NCAA needs to have control over basketball players between 10 and 17. 10 and 17. 50 years after Martin Luther King was assassinated, an organization that would not exist if it wasn't for guys that can shoot, jump, run, throw, kick, pass, females as well, says they want to control what goes on in a parent's home from the age of 10 to 17. Once again, they ain't asking them. They want to make rules. They want to not pay the players, but they want to control children. Now, I created and talk about terms such as sports trafficking, which is another bill that's about to be come out right now. It's being pushed in California by Assemblyman Chris Holden, Area 41, pertaining to the Civil Rights Act of athletics, pertaining to what the NCAA talk about. So I'm going to quote Mr. Bruce Rasmussen of the NCAA. End quote. We've got to get control over basketball from ages 10 to 17. If we do a better job of getting control over basketball from 10 to 17, I think we'll see a lot fewer problems in college. I think we can. I'm here to tell you, you never will, and you can't, and you won't. And I'll be the first person, and my company will be the first person to make sure every athlete that you talk to at 10 years old, we will move them and look to advise them to go play somewhere else for their best interest. Child labor laws, sports trafficking, manipulation. The second part is the piece that he wanted to say, that he literally is talking about an actual advisor that's going to basically register with the NCAA, who in essence, they're going to have the NCAA. You're saying you want the parent to hire an advisor who you're going to tell what to do what's in your best interest, but you have them on the contract and use them as an advisor. It's already been done. It's called agents in the National Football League and Basketball Association, MLB, and the CFL. And you also do that in insurance, once again, which is not legal. So you can scratch that too. Nobody's going to register, again, pre-post game as an advisor, sports business management advisory firm for athletes at every level. I don't work for the NCAA. I would never register with the NCAA when you have shown to literally your only interest is to do what's best for you to pay your checks. And now you want to actually control what a 10-year-old does. I apologize to people for my passion today. But at the same time, like I said, I was going to wear a polo. But some of my friends from the NCAA me watching now, so I want them to hear me clearly and understand. Never. So whoever you have on that committee that wants to pass that, when you guys try that, you guys will be overseeing yourselves. Because what people don't understand, again, the NCAA is not the law. That's why the FBI is involved now. NCAA is a tool or an actual avenue, one avenue of what these kids are trying to do. If a kid knows he's not going to play in the NBA going pro, he is not going to go to the NCAA. But the fact of the matter is, not only is he not going to the NCAA, but they're not going to pay for you to be on a scholarship. Because NCAA has no interest in this having kids play, and no one is going to come out there and just watch any kid play. So it goes back to this, the golden rule. Those that have the goal makes the rules. The people that don't understand, the goal is the player. The players and their parents control everything. They always have. They're the reason why the players rep is here to educate and empower, protect their best interests and their best interests alone. The economy is driven in certain areas because of these athletes. These same group of kids that played in the Final Four. How many of those guys are going to be mentioned by the NCAA 2 months from now, ever again. You want to control what they start doing at 10 years old and start asking for help from the NBA and help from this one. Once again, those are business entities and institutions that literally are separate of what is. The player is his own separate entity. You're not talking to the right person. I'll be happy to come down and sit there because business is business. So I'll be happy to advocate and sit there and represent and work on behalf of the player. But if you think that, again, you're going to come in some kid's house and get him against the wall and then tell him to sign a contract that he don't understand, that's why you guys are going to court now, because you're getting out, putting out NLIs and college scholarship paperwork and telling kids things that's not true verbally and they can't prove it. So when they say term misrepresent, and then you, the NCAA, hold the investigation, oversee the investigation. It needs to be an independent arbitrator who does not get kickbacks and referrals from the NCAA or the universities. I volunteer. I'm fair. I'm fair. You're not fair. What goes into this sports business at every level, and again, whether it's AAU, high school, all these tournaments that's going on. I did a post today, and I'll just read it to you guys now so that to be clear of how things go. Look back and see what that says really quick. Again, there's too many coaches, not enough educators. Same people trusted that process, got the free education, now they're back at square one. Don't be an expert on how to use 6 to 20-year-olds to feed your family using ropes, ladders, social media, and rap shows by selling the same falsehoods that was sold to us. You deserve better then, they deserve better now. I'll say that again. Too many coaches, not enough educators. I'm educating you right now. I played the sport. I can coach anything in the sport. I can coach any sport for that matter. Too many coaches out there using kids as Mega Millions and Powerball tickets. Went through the same process, trusted that same process, now back to square one. I see so many videos every day with the rap videos and they're jumping up and down and running through the ladders, but yet these kids can't even spell their own name almost. You ask them what's going on in the real world, they have no idea. They're playing this game called Fortnite right now. And in the pros, when you talk about making millions right now, these guys are about to get drafted, half of them still playing Madden 18, 19. That's the most important thing to them. They don't even know what tax bracket they may end up in. Contract that they signed don't understand it has a split in it if they fall past the second round. People that they hired that they signed an agreement with didn't tell them. And even with the same NFLPA that says you got to start at 1.5 from your actual negotiation from a kid, the actual agents just ignore that because the kids don't even know. Do you send memos to the NCAA? NCAA, have you sent memos to every draft eligible kid telling them about their rights regarding the National Football League and hiring representation? I know you haven't because that's how we get paid. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. I try to keep it controlled and keep it cool, but when you talk about 10-year-olds to 17-year-olds, that's where I draw the line. And I mean no disrespect to Miss Condoleezza Rice because she's done a great job what she's done in her livelihood. But this ain't the government. This is sports. And these kids and these families deserve proper representation for their best interests. And the NCAA is using you just like they use them to get to their next step. It's going to stop. It has to stop. There's too much money involved. There's too many things going on literally that people don't understand what's what. So speaking of business, again, another topic. So again, back when the NCAA tournament, Sweet 16, if people don't remember, University of Maryland, Baltimore County beat Virginia. The first time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. So this is how much you know this is a business. Yeah, we talk about kids not betting. A lot of rules talk about do not bet, do not wager because you can lose your eligibility, which is a fact. And again, I agree with that 1,000%. Yeah, the kids should not be betting on sports regardless because they're playing up to their ability. They should be focused on the game and winning, and that's all. Even though people around them may not want that to be the case. And we talk about that at another time, whereas save your legs, fellas. So I'm going to say save your legs when you're playing the game. But UMBC, when they beat Virginia, Little Caesars Pizza bet that if they lost, they would basically on April 2nd from, I believe, 12 to 1, 12 to 2, give everybody a box of pizza with a 20-ounce drink. I partake in getting that actual free box of pizza. Why? I didn't even know that actually happened. But when I was walking and I saw and I passed one, people around the corners. Little Caesars just lost millions of dollars. UMBC, a small school from the American Conference, just basically fed half the country. I saw 2 homeless men online getting their box of pizza. So shout out to UMBC. But the fact of the matter is, again, that's how strong and that's how relevant that sports is in this country. That's how strong and relevant that an athlete, no matter if you're a Power 5 kid or a school from the American Conference, your play, your execution can change the world. What's next? Let's see. Okay. 5-star Darius Baisley decommits to play in the G League versus Syracuse. So I've been asked this question a few times regarding my thoughts on that. And like I said, again, as an independent arbitrator, if you will, I'm not here, or we don't advise people to do things that literally pushes you towards another university or institution, league. It doesn't matter. So again, you got the JBA right now. NFL, the NBA is looking at to do the NBA Junior League. Obviously, you have the NCAA. And again, every decision that an athlete makes along with their family should be done within the best interest of them and them alone. Once again, I talk about sports trafficking. There are people, including Syracuse University, understood this kid as a possible lottery pick. And if his goal and his job and his wants were to play professionally out of Mark Emmert's own words, then he shouldn't go play in college. Now, ask yourself today, does Syracuse feel good about that? Because when NCAA is talking to these kids like that, they're listening now. Their parents are listening too. Is $26,000 a lot of money? No, but it is money. $26,000 is enough money to basically contribute to his livelihood, his family's livelihood, to pursue a dream that he wants to have. If that $26,000 after 1 year, 2 years now turn into millions of dollars, then he now can do what he wants to do for him and his family again. If he wanted to return to Syracuse University to get that degree, ask yourself this question. Would Syracuse University still give him a scholarship just to get his education, since that's what the NCAA and everybody say it's all about? The answer is no. Could they take a kid now to replace Darius Baisley that never played basketball before, who says, you know what, hey, I want to play, I'll play for your scholarship? Will Syracuse give him that scholarship? No, because he can't play. That's why this is a business. That's why this is a business. What would Syracuse basketball coaches be doing if he wasn't coaching basketball? Nobody knows. What is Mark Emmert if he isn't making money off the athletic abilities of the actual athletes? Nobody knows. But what we do know is that these athletes can run, jump, shoot, pitch, catch. We know what they can do. And that's why people are paying millions of dollars to see them do it. So again, players, parents, your leverage as an athlete comes when you're young. When you're young, not when you're old, meaning the circle of life. As an athlete, as from a professional level, and I'll talk about that in a second, you have to understand the older you get, the more injured you get, the less valuable you are to a team, the less valuable you are to a league. They will use you as such. That's what the travesty is of the NCAA, that you literally have two generating revenue sports such as basketball and football, predominantly African Americans, when their rules are completely separate from baseball and hockey, predominantly Caucasians, and allows them also from an Olympic standpoint, wrestlers and other things to make money. A swimmer from Texas 2 years ago made $753,000. He almost made $250,000, then won 6 more gold medals. I'm sorry, the mainstream media didn't cover that about how the players can't get paid at the NCAA. No, people are getting paid. Runners are getting paid. Coaches are getting paid. The administration is getting paid. Everybody's getting paid. Players are getting paid. The players are getting paid, though, are the ones that are using the blackmail. They're getting paid pennies to the dollar to keep them from talking. That's why the FBI now stepped in. I don't think the FBI knows enough, though, if you're asking me. For those that are wondering if I had spoken to the FBI as of yet. If I spoke to the FBI pertaining to what I know about the NCAA, how sports work, this thing would have already fell off. See, I'm talking really brash. Once again, I'm saying this. I'm hoping the NCAA watch it, because when you talk about 10-year-olds, again, 10-year-olds, check my background. Before I was a player's rep, I protected people that was at-risk youth and people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone that couldn't talk, speak, or do anything for themselves, that somebody would do something against them that they could not protect themselves. You will get all of my attention when that happens. Gladly. Now, you may have taken advantage of me when I was younger because I didn't have a resource. I didn't know what I know now. I didn't understand what exactly was going on. A coach can tell me anything. You're talking about coaches in sports. Let's take junior college right now. We talking about Power 5 schools, 1A schools, 2 schools, 1AA schools. One of the biggest issues in the JUCO is that so many coaches that are in junior college literally are selling players to the highest bidder. Meaning, hey, I will get this kid, convince this kid to go to this school if you get a job for me to go there. Unbeknown to that kid or that family, regardless of the situation is good or not. People are shocked when I say the best players in professional sports are not in the actual professional ranks. Because so many things happen with these kids that's not even being talked about, that literally it just don't stop. And you got kids that go through depression and psychological warfare and suicidal. Once again, you don't talk about that because, again, all that money that they're making, they're not putting that back into actually getting these kids to really understand who they are outside of the sport they're playing. I'm talking from experience, people. I'm talking from day to day. This is what I do. I work. I work to protect the athlete and the family's best interest at every level. Kevin Durant played at the University of Texas. He says he predicts there's going to be a strain between the NCAA and the athletes soon. What Kevin might not understand, it's already a strain. But he's right to say that it's coming to a head, and it's coming to a head really, really quick. When you are simply responsible for everything and anything that goes into something, when it comes to money, it is what it is. That's a job. In corporate America, if I wanted to go get a job right now, if you wanted to come work for pre-post game, 2 things are going to happen first and foremost. 1, you're going to introduce yourself to me. 2, you're going to give me your resume. In return, I'm going to tell you what your wage scale is and what your responsibilities are. And last but not least, if you agree to those terms and then I agree to those terms, then we have a deal and we work together to move forward. How does the NCAA, how does the kid from an AAU team, how does the kid getting hired an agent, how does that work for them? Well, the first thing is, hey, you're playing a game today. We're going to sell this whole arena out right now. But before you play, here is this waiver to give up all your rights. Allow me to use your likeness and image, your publicity. Here is the waiver to say if you break your leg, you rip something apart, you and your mama alone is responsible for taking care of yourself. Don't worry about the fact that I'm selling a picture or a card that you signed. Don't worry about none of that. Let me worry about that. You go have fun. Go play the game. Then you work your way up to the NCAA. You talk about the NLI, National Letter of Intent, where you basically say, hey, we as a school, university that's worth billions of millions, are going to say we commit 1 year to you, but you as a minor and a kid who basically is still growing up and mature can only have to commit for 4 years. Even though the person you talk to right now, after he knows that after you sign that agreement, he's taking a job somewhere else to make millions and going to leave you where you stand without a phone call. After that, hey, I'm a such and such agent. I work with this guy, that guy. Hey, never talk to me about what he can do for me. Just throwing out names there. But by the way, this is what we're going to do. I'm, as the agent who's supposed to work for you, I'm going to take a contract and tell you how much you're going to pay me. I work for you, but you're going to tell me what I'm going to pay you. And you're going to create the terms and the conditions of it. Because I don't have anything else better to do. But sue you 3 years from now for not knowing what I'm signing up for. dichotomy of sports. Then to now. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Intellectual property, IP. Like I was mentioning there. You see right here, the player's rep. Wrong side, player's rep. Football player in a tie and a suit. Reason why I do this and I wear suits, not that I don't enjoy wearing other stuff that's comfortable. I like to look professional, being professional, but the fact of the matter is, as a former athlete, as an African-American, as a relatively young man in the business as a whole regarding what I look like, I have to get past the fact. I have to help people understand that we don't have time to talk about all that stuff. I'm a businessman like you're a businessman. Let's get to the point. I don't need you to have any misconceived notions about what I'm here and why I'm there. I'm here to advocate and protect the athlete. I'm here to negotiate and move forward so they can get what they need to get done for them. I'm not here for the referral. I'm not here for the kickback. I'm not here for the hug. I'm not here for your approval. Parents, athletes, you have to learn how to actually educate yourself on the business of sports pertaining to you. If you're about to spend your hard-earned money to send a kid to a trainer, send a kid to a gym, whatever you're going to do for that kid from an athletic standpoint, you got to have a goal in mind for that. Because if not, they'll train this kid. They'll say it's specified training. It's the same thing that everybody been doing 20 years ago. You just spending all this money, and this kid not getting any better. Then all of a sudden, the next guy come and say, well, we can do better. Then they talk bad about the other guy, and then it just goes a full circle. So the reality is now your kid is running around, not learning much, but now you're going broke from that standpoint. And then at the end of the day, if he's fortunate or she's fortunate to make it to the next level, whether it's college or the pros, you now got other people now telling you again what they're going to do with you and your money. Being a professional means the moment somebody is willing to pay money to watch you play, you are now a professional, meaning because everybody that's talking to you is now going to use their leverage for what they know about you, who you know, where you at, to manipulate, coerce, or move your direction in their best interest, because they are going to get paid for that. So you must learn how to actually evaluate the people you're talking to. So I go back to the best advice I can give anybody: educate, empower, protect. My own personal checks and balance for my company, myself, and my team is that, hey, when we talk to people, we are doing three things. And when we're not doing those three things, we're not doing nothing at all. Education. Are they teaching me something that I didn't know about, something that could benefit me before? Check. Empowerment. Yes, we might need pre-post game. The players rep might be able to help us do certain things, but at a certain point, at the end of the day, we need to be able to do it for ourselves. Can they provide that for us? Check. Last thing, protection. What's going on in this business that I wasn't aware about, that literally that I need to know to protect myself from going down the same pitfalls that you see people talking about every year at the same time? In this instance, let's say the NFL draft. Larry Tunsil, Gary Conley, won gas mask, fell down millions. Another guy, injury, accused of rape, fell down, lost millions. It doesn't have to happen. But guess what? The same people in this industry is still there every year when the same thing happens. What's that telling you? The definition of insanity is basically doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. The NCAA model is insane. You can yell at me, curse me out, call me all type of names, say you're making me tough. I do the same thing back to you. You can take my scholarship for saying I'm a disgruntled athlete. And then you can call your guy, your buddy, to try to get me from going to another school. That's insanity. That happens. You emotionally stress me out based off of things as a student, as a child, if you will, regarding things that was told to me, and now you told me, well, it's not fair. But you didn't tell me it wasn't fair during that recruiting trip before you got me to sign my name. But then now my hair is falling out, and I go to the trainer of that school. You tell me, oh, because you're African American, that's why it fell out. Because they don't believe that you as an athlete and a parent have advocates or people like me out there with attorneys waiting to do what they do best. Sports is not a game. Sports is all business. Scholarships. What's in a scholarship? What a kid signs and how he or she does not understand what they sign. Then you got me once. NCAA. I called you 10 years ago. University. Don't need to name it now, but they know who they are. Told me it was a scholarship, but it was actually a loan. Playing around with in-state, out-of-state tuition. I'm not the only kid. There's thousands of young people out there that are now older that literally have bills from Sally Mae based off of what a coach under the NCAA told them and basically wanted them or told them to sign. Tell everybody about how it works. Every athlete that's been in the Power 5, Division I AA knows how this goes. You spend 7 months of recruiting all over the country. And then in the moment, at about an hour before the time to sign that actual document, they put you in a room with nobody around, no windows, no nothing. And they stand over you like the police and want you to sign it. They just point to the line where you got to sign right there. They don't ask you, hey, you got any questions? You guys, did we cover everything? Do you understand? You spent 7 months running around putting up graphics on social media, using these kids for free marketing. Talking about terms such as committable, where you offer a kid, so literally verbally, but you didn't let it out there yet. So at the end of the day, that kid thinking he's going to that school, but in essence, now you ain't got to pay for no more trips to that school to see that kid because now he believes you want him. But the moment the next kid decides to commit to your school, you can call that kid's parents and tell them and say, hey, we changed our mind. Nope, sports is not a game. It's all business. This is not 1906. NCAA continues to evolve and make rules changes and do things that, in the end of the day, benefit the actual university, their supporters, their insurance companies, their advertisers, their salespeople. They put a number and a jersey on a player. For those people that back in the day when we used to wear numbers, people don't realize, like, okay, I wore number 3. So they see now a lot of these schools got 3 or 4 numbers that have maybe 3 or 5 or 7, whatever it may be. People kind of wonder why so many numbers at the same number? They got 100 kids. It's 100 different numbers, right? Right. But when they selling those jerseys, it's a lot easier to rip off the name off the back and change it and buy the jersey number in bulk. So it's cheap for them while they selling them same jerseys for $89 to $145. See, kids don't understand that. Parents don't understand that because at the end of the day, when they sign over their rights to intellectual property, once again, if I'm a 5-star recruit and I jump through the gym and I can do this and do that, I don't have to give you my intellectual property. Anybody. See, what people aren't telling you either, when you give the intellectual property away to the NCAA, you also gave it away to the world. Johnny Football. There are people out there right now getting autographs, selling it, which plagiarizing autographs. Don't even need to name names, but there's kids out there right now, there's signatures are being sold on helmets for university they go to. That's not their signature. The NCAA ain't investigating that. They ain't protecting them in that because they selling the same autographs to other people too. So back to that point of 10 to 17. So there's an NBL, which is a National Basketball League that's in Australia, that pays players that pretty much are lottery-type talent, I think about $78,000 to go. You have the JBA, which is LeVar Ball's agency called the Junior Basketball Association. Then you also have the NBA Junior League that's trying to come out as well. Like I said, at the end of the day, your leverage comes when you're young. People that's 40, 50 years old still going to school right now to get their education. Do not perpetuate the lie to say that, hey, you get your degree, you're going to get some 6-figure, 7-figure job. I just mentioned, don't be that expert of coaches that literally coming back, the same ones that got their free education, the same one that trusted their process, now pushing those same agendas to the other kids, knowing that they're going to end up right back where they was too, square one. If that process you trusted was so right and the education was so good, then why aren't you making 6 figures doing something that don't involve ropes, ladders, and rap music and social media? Because those same kids doing it right now at 16 and 17 for free. I'm really passionate tonight. I did not plan on making it this way, but like I said, I'm going to try to do this once in a while, round robin. As I was mentioning earlier, Assembly Member Holden, Christopher Holden, check it out. He introduced legislation to protect college athletes from harmful NCAA policies. He did that on March the 28th. Assembly Member Holden, Mr. Christopher Holden, is based out of California, I think 41, where you can check him out. And again, I know they're going to basically be voting on his actual policy to pertain to civil rights that are being violated by the NCAA pertaining to athletes. And again, a lot of things that people don't know about, don't hear about, don't see, because athletes are too scared, or their families don't want to put themselves out there based on the retribution that comes back from these actual universities. This is why I do what I do. And at the end of the day, if I don't say what I'm saying, these things continue and people look the other way and become oblivious about what's going on and hurts these kids. Again, nobody wants to continue to talk about thoughts and prayers about athletes that literally making bad decisions. Nobody want to hear about an athlete that continues to make these bad decisions pertaining to, hey, you had all these things in front of you. You had a chance to become a professional. You had a chance to do this and do that. But all of a sudden now he got pregnant, he got shot. All these different things that factor in. If the NCAA would stop going to places where these kids don't have no other options, if you will, but to play a sport, they wouldn't be able to continue to exploit them if they were actually getting paid to do it. Then they would have an opportunity to literally get a real education. They would have an opportunity to realize, you know what, I can't really go pro, so I should really focus on doing something that's going to benefit me and my family that I can study, something that I'm passionate about. A simple fix is this. If the NCAA really cared about education, they could tell every athlete, because once again, you talk about what's more mature, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, or 24, 25-year-old. So go ahead, exhaust your actual playing time at the school. Just play, because we're exploiting you anyway. We're making money. We give you money then, and then when you don't make it to the NBA or the NFL and it don't work out, then you can come back for free and take whatever classes you want and try to graduate. That's simple. Again, I don't know who that committee and what they call themselves doing and what they're trying to put in place, but once again, please, if you know that guy that wanted to talk about starting with 10 years olds, I hope that 10-year-old is not one of our clients. I would love to have this conversation with him. And honestly, I want to tell everybody, the African American Athlete Radio Talk Show, I'm not being brash. I'm not being over the top. I'm being passionate about something that I've seen go on way too long, where people have to understand that you cannot continue to mess over on these kids and these people and these families to think it's going to be okay. And if they do, they got to realize there's going to be repercussions for their actions, like anything else. You make a mistake, you got to pay the consequences. Sometimes when it comes to these things, they don't believe they can make mistakes because at the end of the day, nobody says anything to them. But once again, you're going to say what you're going to do to predominantly African-American kids and their families from 10 to 17, that you're going to control it. Like I said, that was abolished. Martin Luther King rolling over his grave right now talking about what you're going to do to 10 to 17-year-olds. You can change the name. You can shine it up. You can make it look real pretty. You can do it all you got to do. What you're not going to do, you're not going to sit there and exploit some uneducated kid coming from the hood who don't feel like they have any other opportunity to protect themselves and their families, but going to play for you only so you can make rules that at the end of the day only benefit you, not them. And then have a guy like me as an advisor let you tell me how I'm going to operate. I don't work for you. Neither do they. It's a school. It's an opportunity, one that they can take anywhere. This much I know about business and the business of sport, since I'm the players rep. That anybody, any well-off owner, any type of person that can put it together an actual league institution that basically can warrant and factor in helping these athletes go out there and be able to perform, to entertain people, the athletes will go. So if you create a league that's going to pay, provide what we call, and we can actually help do this, what you're talking about, character development and business services to teach, educate, and empower and protect, they will go. There's not a parent, and I'm saying this on the record, there's not a parent I know that is pleased with the NCAA about anything. As a former athlete, we're not talking about 1906, we're talking about now. As a former athlete, I didn't appreciate being told all types of things, lies, and then set up to actually pay a loan back for something that I had to go and do in the first place somewhere else. So that person can get a job and get a check. I did not go to college to take care of somebody else's family. I want to take care of mine. But that's not how sports works in the NCAA, just for you guys to know. Again, Protect yourself. Education, power, protection. Tomorrow, somebody's going to get up and want to come tell you something. They're going to see you come out and get out your car and go to the grocery store. They're going to see that your kid's about 6'2". You look really, really young. And they're going to come tell you, hey, you should come play at the gym. They're going to come put the arm around you and say, man, we want to look out for your kid. That's not how this works today in sports. It's not a game. It's all business. Do not let these people in industry, runners, NCAA, universities, do not let them separate you from your children. Keep that bond. Keep that communication open. For the athletes out there that feel like you can't speak, you're being put in a certain situation, obviously, my site is freepostgame.com. We always do a one free consultation for anybody that calls us about the needs that they may have. Everything is person-centered. It's not a one-stop shop, not one size fits all. Again, we all working on a few things too regarding symposiums, quarterly symposiums around the country. We're going to invite parents and highly rated athletes because, again, you go to all these different camps and all these different things go on. The parents sit there and watch. The kids can backpedal, run, jump like any other assembly line. Once again, marketing. Once you get the name out, now they can sell tickets, sell jerseys. But athletes, you are more than an athlete. And when you play a sport, the moment you step on that court, that field, that rink, or that mound, your days are numbered. Who you are after the game is what's going to define you. And what you define as, what people are going to look at you as, and then in the day, that's where you're going to find fulfillment in who you are in life. My name is Robert T. Green. I'm the CEO of Pre-Post Game, also known as the Players Rep. As I said earlier, I'm here to educate and empower, protect the athlete's best interests and theirs alone. This podcast every Wednesday from 6 to 7 is sponsored by the African American Athlete Radio Talk Show, hosted by Ricky Hampton and Mr. Michael Robinson. They do a podcast every Tuesday evening from 10 p.m. Eastern to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, you can follow me here at the Players Rep 1 on Instagram, the Players Rep 1 on Twitter, also the Players Rep on Facebook. So I thank you guys for your time. I hope you guys got something out of this today. For more information, like I said, check us out at prepostgame.com. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. God bless you.